Hi guys, Tiffany here of Tiffany Gordon Cosplay with the painting tutorial for Sara's mask from the game Genshin Impact. And if you missed the tutorial on how I made this mask, make sure to check it out. I'll do a link below. To start off, this mask has 3 heavy coats of Plastidip to both the front and the back side and has been fully dried 24 hours in order for us to paint. And the paint that we are going to be using for this mask has all been provided by Createx Color, and I highly recommend their airbrush paint. It is my absolute favorite, so check them out. The first color we are going to be using is Wicked White. Spraying it on all of the little triangle pieces around the cheeks of the mask. And once that paint was dry, I then masked off each of those little triangle shapes and then again did a base coat onto the rest of the mask, again with the Wicked White color. This is gonna make the red color that we're gonna use next pop a lot more than if we had a black base color. And once the white was dry, I then proceeded with Wicked Crimson onto the front and the back of the mask. And to give more depth to this mask so it doesn't look so flat, I went back with a mixture of the crimson and jet black airbrush paints, using it around the edge of the nose and then a little bit around the upper top detail pieces. And once that paint was dry, I then masked off all of the red sections using masking tape and just computer paper I had laying around. And then went in with just straight jet black to the eye sockets as well as to the eyebrow pieces and the gem piece in the center. And once again, waited for all of that paint to dry and then masked it off, as well as the triangle pieces of the gem, put some masking tape in there as well to mask that section off. Next, I used Wicked White as a base coat onto all of the center gem high parts. And once that was dry, went in with Pearl Copper onto all of these white painted sections. And I felt like this was still a little bit flat, so I went back in with some shadowing using a mixture of the pearlescent copper as well as the jet black going around the edges. And once that paint was dry, it is time to remove all your masked off sections. There were a few bit of spots that needed some detail paint, and I did this also with the airbrush paint, but this time by hand with paintbrush, mainly in the eye sections, and I did a little bit of trim work around all of the cheek triangle pieces. The last part for painting wise is for sealing the entire mask, and for this I used Createx Colors UVLS Satin Clear, applying an even coat onto the front and the back half of the mask by paintbrush. You can also use this by airbrush gun, but I prefer it to do it this way. Now to talk about how I made the strap and bell part of the mask. For this, I bought 2 bells off of Amazon, but I really don't like having an actual bell next to my head rattle, so I ended up taking some flat pliers and peeled up a little bit of the piece of the bell so that way I could remove the bead and then you no longer have the ringing sound. Next was for the main headband strap, and for this I ended up getting a decorative ribbon from my fabric store, and for this I attached it using contact cement glue, applying it to the back part of the mask as well as to the ribbon, letting both sides dry before attaching them together on either side of the mask. For the decorative bow part, this has 4 different bows with 2 tails on it. And for this, I started off at the bottom, going upward, doing 1 loop, and then continuing upward, doing a 2nd loop on one side of the ribbon. Then I pinned that part to where it was going to attach onto the headband strap, and then repeated it for the other side, pinning it as I went along. And when I was happy with the length of it, I ended up churning it with scissors, and the edges were extremely frayed, so I went back with fray check so that way they wouldn't come apart. Now for attaching it. And for this, I just sewed by hand with needle and thread onto the top part where the bow attached to the ribbon, as well as where each of the individual bow loops attach together. And the very last step to complete your mask is to attach your bells. And for this, again, I used a needle and thread by hand, sewing it to where I wanted it on the decorative bow. And that is how I painted and made the bow part of this mask for Sarah from the game Genshin Impact. I hope you found this video helpful, and if so, let me know in the comments, like the video, and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you for my next cosplay tutorial. Much love, guys!